Hi everyone, and welcome to our video where we will be looking at some exam questions on isotopes, atoms and elements and compounds. So our first exam question over here states the table below shows information about the three isotopes of neon. We're given the mass number in the first column and we're given the percentage abundance in the second column. It then says calculate the relative atomic mass of neon, giving your answer to three significant figures. So this is probably a default question, sort of a standard question that you could get asked on isotopes. So remember, when we're looking at isotopes, they have the same number of protons and electrons, but they have a different number of neutrons. When you're given this table, all you're going to do, the key trick for a question like this, is you're going to multiply the mass number against the percentage abundance for each of them. You're going to add them together and then you're going to divide it by the total percentage. So if we have a look at this example, we can see the mass number on the first row is 20. So we're going to do 20 and we're going to multiply it by 90.48 because that's the percentage abundance. That's going to go in brackets. Then we're going to add and we're going to get our next row, which is 21, the mass number, the percentage abundance is 0.27. So we're going to do 21 times 0.27. And then finally, we have another row, which is 22. So we're going to add open brackets 22, and we're going to multiply it by the percentage abundance, which is 9.25. Okay, so we've dealt with all the rows. Now what we're going to do is we're going to divide all this by the total percentage. Now, normally the total percentage will be 100%, but sometimes they can trick you out and they can give you an example where the total percentage is not 100%. In this case, we can see that the total percentage is 100%, so we can just divide it by 100. This you can just type into your calculator, and once you've typed it into your calculator, you will get an answer of 20.1877. So 20.1877, and it says give your answer to three significant figures. So we would just round it to 1, 2, 3, cut it off there, 8 rounds up, so it's going to be 20.2% as your final answer. So the relative atomic mass is 20.2%, and that's going to be worth 3 marks. Okay, so if we have a look at the mark scheme, we can see that you get a mark for your working out, substituting it into the equation. You get a mark for your answer, and then you get a mark for rounding it to 3 significant figures. That's where your 3 marks are coming from. And in a standard question, this will always be where your 3 marks will be coming from. So it's really important that you pay attention to the mark schemes. Moving on to the next question, it says define the term isotope. So this is a model mark scheme definition answer that you can learn. You can put it on a flashcard and you can just learn the mark scheme, because this mark scheme is not going to change question to question. When we're defining the term isotopes, this is what we are saying. Atoms with the same number of protons but with a different number of neutrons. If you learn these 2 phrases, you will always bag those 2 marks for a question like this. So atoms with the same number of protons, but they have a different number of neutrons. You have to say both points, and that will guarantee you your 2 marks. Okay, next question. It says the formula of a compound is N2O. How many of each type of atom are in one molecule of N2O? So when we have N2O, the number which is beside the element itself tells you the number of atoms. So we can see that we have nitrogen and we have oxygen. Those are the 2 elements that we have, nitrogen and oxygen. Now next to the nitrogen there is a small 2 that tells you that there are 2 atoms of nitrogen, and next to the oxygen that there is no number, so there is an invisible 1 which you can see. So that means that there is 1 atom of oxygen. Okay, so that's how you would answer this question. So nitrogen 2, oxygen 1. That's where your 2 marks are going to come from in a question like this. Now moving on, we have another question which is on isotopes, and again over here we're going to be calculating the relative atomic mass, and again it's worth 3 marks. So as you can see, it's a question which repeats a lot in exams, especially in your paper 1 chemistry. So it's something to spend time on to understand where your marks are coming from. So it says we're given the mass number, we're given the percentage abundance, calculate the relative atomic mass. So again, when we're given a table, we're going to multiply these two, just like that. You're going to add them up, and then you're going to divide it by the total percentage. So we're going to have 6 times 7.6, close your brackets, add the second row, which is 7 times 92.4, and then you're going to divide it by the total percentage. And in this case as well, the total percentage is 100. So you're just going to divide it by 100. Now, when you type this into your calculator, you get an answer of 6.924. And it says this time, give your answer to 1 decimal place. So rounding that to 1 decimal place. 1 decimal place is over here. You're going to cut it off there. 2 rounds down, so it's just going to be 6.9. Okay, and that's the relative atomic mass, 6.9. Okay. When we look at the mark scheme, again, you get a mark for your working out. You get a mark for your answer, and then you get a mark for rounding it to 1 decimal place. Okay, so as you can see, we've looked at 3 questions so far. Sorry, 4 questions. Over here, the relative atomic mass, I've just remembered, shouldn't be a percentage. It should just be 20.2. Okay. We've looked at 4 questions so far, and as you can see, there's a lot of repetition between the calculation questions. Over here, it says an atom of element Y has an atomic number of 9, a mass number of 19. Give the number of electrons and the number of neutrons in this atom. Okay, choose your answers from the box. So number of electrons, remember the atomic number is the bottom number that we have. The mass number is the top number that we have. And when we're calculating the number of electrons is just the atomic number, which we have, that's 9. And the number of neutrons, it's going to be the mass number, subtract the atomic number, the top number, subtract the bottom number. So it's going to be 19, subtract 9, and that's going to be 10. So the number of neutrons is going to be 10. Okay, so 9 electrons, and we have 10 neutrons. Okay, so finishing off with one final question, we have another calculation question. This time you're given the formula, and as you can see, you're given a table as well. So you know that you're going to multiply the first number to the percentage, you're going to multiply the second number to the percentage, and then you're going to add them together, and you're going to divide it by the total percentage, which is 100% in this case as well. So we're going to have 39 multiplied by 93.3. And then we're going to add the second row, which is 41 multiplied by 6.7. And then we're going to divide it by the total percentage, which is 100%. So we're going to divide it by 100. And when we type that into our calculator, we get an answer of 39.134. And it says to 3 significant figures. So we would just round it to 1, 2, 3. Cut it off there, 3 rounds down. So it's going to be 39.1. Okay, not percent. I put that for the first question, but it's not percent. It's just 39.1, and that's the relative atomic mass. So we're just going to put 39.1 there for our final answer. When you have a look at the mark scheme, again, you can see there's a lot of repetition with the mark scheme. That's why it's really important to show your working out. If you substitute into the formula, you get a mark for your final answer, and then you get a mark for rounding it to 3 significant figures. Again, the 3 calculation questions that we've looked at, you can see they follow the same form of mark schemes. So it's really important to get familiar with mark schemes so you understand where the marks are coming from. Okay, and that's it for this video. Good luck with your revision, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.